Blockchain's true purpose: removing time, space, gatekeepers, and bias. Flint West reporting. Most people describe blockchain using words like permissionless, borderless, and censorship resistant. Those descriptions are not wrong. They're just not particularly useful. They're descriptions of properties. They're not descriptions of purpose. If you want to understand what blockchain actually is and why it matters, you need a better mental model. Here's mine. Blockchain is a distributed, self-executing, always-on computer, and its purpose is surprisingly simple: to help intelligence coordinate. Not just humans, intelligence of any kind. Humans, machines, robots, AI agents, devices, anything capable of interacting with the rules of the system. That's the big idea. Everything else is downstream. Section 1. For thousands of years, civilization has relied on two great coordination technologies: money and markets. Money allows us to communicate value. Markets allow us to discover prices and allocate resources. Every empire, every kingdom, every corporation, every economy, built on those two foundations. The problem is that until now, those systems have always been constrained, not because people wanted them to be, because technology forced them to be. The stock exchange closes, the bank closes, the settlement system pauses, the office shuts down, the clerk goes home, the manager takes a holiday, the regulator sleeps, the intermediary becomes the bottleneck. Human coordination has always been trapped inside human limitations. Blockchain changes that equation. Section 2. The easiest way to understand blockchain is through what it removes. I call them the 4 unshacklings. The first unshackling: time. Traditional markets operate roughly 8 hours per day, 5 days per week, about 2,080 hours per year. Blockchain operates continuously, 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, 365 days per year, about 8,760 hours per year, more than 4 times the available market time. No weekends, no holidays, no closing bell, no waiting for Monday. If traditional markets are a swimming pool, blockchain markets are a lake, a very large lake, and the water never stops moving. Section 3. The second unshackling: space. Traditional finance is built around geography. Where you live matters. Which country issued your passport matters. Which institutions serve your region matters. Which exchange you can access matters. Blockchain weakens these constraints. The protocol doesn't care whether you're sitting in New York, Nairobi, Singapore, Amsterdam, or a village that never had a bank branch. The network is global by default. The same ledger, the same rules, the same settlement layer. Available everywhere the internet exists. Space begins to matter less. Coordination begins to matter more. This content is brought to you by Bobby Gigs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 4. The third unshackling: gatekeepers. Traditional systems require permission, applications, approvals, licenses, accounts, intermediaries, compliance officers, paperwork. Blockchain flips the default. Participation becomes open unless restrictions are intentionally added. That distinction matters because blockchain is backwards compatible. You can add KYC, you can add compliance, you can add trading hours, you can add jurisdictional controls. But those become design choices rather than technological necessities. Freedom becomes the starting point. Restrictions become optional. Section 5. The fourth unshackling: bias. This is where the conversation gets interesting. Most people call this trustlessness. I think that's too narrow. What blockchain really removes is human discretion from the chain of execution. Humans get tired. Humans show favoritism. Humans make mistakes. Humans enforce rules selectively. Humans have office politics. Humans have bad days. The blockchain has none of these problems. It simply executes. If the conditions are met, the transaction happens. If they are not, it doesn't. The system does not care whether the request comes from a billionaire, a startup founder, a machine, a robot, an AI agent, a smart sensor, or a dog pressing a button connected to a treat dispenser. Ridiculous example? Perhaps. Useful example? Absolutely. Because it reveals something profound. The blockchain does not ask, "Who are you?" It asks, "Did you satisfy the rules?" That is a radically different way to organize economic participation. Section 6. And this is where the implications become much larger than finance. Because once money and markets are built on a neutral, always on computer, new participants can enter the system. Humans, obviously, but also machines, robots, agentic AI, autonomous vehicles, smart infrastructure, entire machine economies. Imagine autonomous vehicles negotiating road priority payments in real time. Imagine AI agents negotiating supply chains. Imagine software purchasing compute resources on its own behalf. Imagine thousands, millions, eventually billions of autonomous actors coordinating economically without waiting for human approval at every step. The point isn't that all of these examples will happen tomorrow. The point is that previous systems weren't designed to accommodate them at all. Blockchain is. Section 7. Historically, information and settlement moved at different speeds. Messages traveled quickly, money moved slowly. That gap created clearinghouses, correspondent banking, settlement delays, credit systems, intermediaries everywhere. Blockchain collapses part of that gap. The message and the money move on the same network. Information and settlement begin operating at the same speed. That is not a small upgrade. That is a redesign of the coordination layer itself. Section 8. Which brings us back to the original question. What is blockchain? Not a database, not a token, not a speculative asset, not merely a financial technology. Blockchain is a distributed, self-executing, always-on computer that allows money and markets to operate with fewer constraints from time, space, gatekeepers, and bias. Or more simply, blockchain's true purpose is to provide intelligence of any kind with a tireless, borderless, neutral computer on which to build the next generation of money and markets. Before a technology can transform the world, people must first learn to see it for what it is. Flint West, signing off.